Hey guys, so this is your introduction to magical realism. Right now, what you should have in front of you is those guided notes, ones that I asked you to print on Tuesday. So you should have those in front of you right now, ready to go. You can hit pause on this video at any time you want to. So let's see what magical realism is. So the first thing you have on your notes there is to jot down some of your beliefs. Do you believe in miracles? Why? Do you own any objects that are connected with other people, like an autographed baseball, your boyfriend's jacket, your grandmother's necklace? Do you have anything like that that has some sort of a connection with maybe a person who's passed on or someone that's here and it reminds you of them? Do you perform any rituals for yourself? What are they? And what meaning do those rituals have for you? Do you believe the soul lives on after death? Explain. What are your thoughts on this matter? Do you believe that everything happens for a reason? Explain your reasoning there. How do you treat your pet as if it were a person? If you do, explain how. If you don't, tell me why not. And have you ever had an ESP experience, like a premonition or telepathy, or you knew what someone was thinking? I want you to just kind of go through these questions. I want you to jot your ideas down on your guided notes just to get your brain going in the magical realism pathway. So hit pause, answer these questions, and then come back. So magical realism, what is it? So it was a term that was first coined in 1949 by a Cuban novelist, Alonso Carpentier. The magical realism has now become the standard name for a major trend of contemporary fiction that stretches from Latin American works to North American works and Asian works. So although all of these cultures have picked up the idea of magical realism, it really started with Latin Americans. Latin Americans sort of established this entire idea. And you saw that in the Ed puzzle that you did earlier this week. So, in magical realism, it's this modern fiction where fabulous and fantastical events are included in a narrative that has a reliable or realistic report to it. Meaning, there are things that happen that are magical and out of this world and extraordinary. Everyone in the story is going to accept it as real. Okay? It's just reality. So these fantastical events that occur are accepted as reality in magical realism. It also has the tendency of the modern novel to reach beyond the confines of realism and draw upon the energies of fable, folktale, myth, while maintaining a strong contemporary social relevance. So just like in that Ed puzzle that you did, you said a lot of the Latin American native cultures have lots of ideas on myths and dreams and fables. And those are brought in to a piece that's written in this genre, and they take those ideas, those things from their culture, they put the myths or whatever might seem a little bit fantastical as reality, and then they use it to show some sort of social relevance. So it's not just this willy-nilly story that's being told, it has some sort of a purpose to it. That social relevance is really important. Finally, on this page, we have the fantastic attributes given to characters in such novels like levitation, flight, telepathy, telekinesis. These are among the means that magical realism adopts in order to encompass the often dreamlike political realities of the 20th century. So many of these things, these are those dreamlike ideas, the psychological aspect that is accepted as completely ordinary, but it also kind of helps them if they want to bring a political statement into it. We're able to do that in this way. You're going to see all of this in Chronicle of a Death Foretold. Identify how the previous 3 bullets defining magical realism relates to any other book that you have read or TV show or movie that you may have seen. Can you think of something where all of these ideas are accepted as realistic and that there's some relevance to it? There's an importance behind it all. They're sharing some sort of an idea. Can you think of anything? Add that to your notes. So this is our biggest chart we have. This is something you're going to go back to. So this is really important that you get all of this down. So if you have to hit pause, then I highly suggest that you do that, because you're going to need this information as we watch the movie Big Fish, as we read several short stories, all of that, okay? So here are the three of the biggest things we want you to note when it comes to magical realism. Time is not linear. All right, time is not linear. This is going to show up all over the place. The distant past is present in every moment. There's not a straight storyline. It doesn't necessarily start at the beginning and go to the end. You'll see with Chronicle that we start with the guy dying in the very first sentence. The whole story is about everything that happened, so it kind of makes this circular motion like this where it retells the story. The time is not linear, but also things that happen to the people in the stories show that example of time is not linear. Flashbacks, ghosts, premonitions, right? If I'm having a premonition, I'm thinking about something that's going to happen in the future. If I'm thinking about ghosts, I'm thinking about something that's happened in the past. So time is not linear. Time is repetitious also, and that, again, is what you're going to see with this story as things go around and around. Causality is subjective. Causality is subjective. This is where we take related events side by side. They convince us that somehow these events are related. They may not be happening at the same time, the same place. So I always do this. I think of like a movie, right? So these examples that we have over on the right, one person's emotions kills another, or maybe a woman dancing angrily while miles away, and the man who has betrayed her has cattle that have gone wild. So think about these things. So if you were watching a movie, right, the movie would flash from one person to another, from one person to another. So we might see Jane sitting in her room being furious with another person. She can't stand him, and she's wishing him death, and she's being hateful and hurtful towards him in her words and her thoughts. And then it flashes over to John, the guy she's thinking about, and he's upstairs in his apartment, and he has this sudden heart attack and dies. Somehow we're supposed to believe that those two events are connected. Same thing with this woman dancing angrily, right? So she's having this angry dance. She's flipping her little skirt thing around. She's going crazy. She's stomping her feet in her dance. Maybe she's got some boots on, and maybe there's some clouds of smoke coming up. Meanwhile, while she's doing that, we know that this guy who betrayed her is over here trying to gather his cattle in a different scene of the movie. And while he's trying to get them, she's dancing angrily. It keeps flashing back and forth and back and forth. His cattle have gone wild. They're all running all over, and maybe one of them charges at him, right? Causality is subjective. We're supposed to accept those two events are related. Next one is magical and ordinary are one and the same. Magical and ordinary are one and the same. Miraculous seems ordinary. Ordinary seems miraculous. Gypsies bringing ice to a village is described with awe. Like, oh my gosh, ice. Whoa, I've never seen such a thing. That's ordinary is magical, right? Or magical is ordinary. This beautiful girl who walks through the town. Every time she walks through the town, butterflies follow after her, right? It's a little magical, not so ordinary, but we're going to accept it as ordinary when we're talking about magical realism. So you are going to watch this link here. What fabulous, fantastical events can you find in this commercial?
Your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Old Spice, he could smell like he's me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on a boat with the man your man could smell like. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's an oyster with 2 tickets to that thing you love. Look again. The tickets are now diamond. Anything is possible when your man smells like Old Spice and not a lady. I'm on a horse.
So on your document, what you need to do right now is write down all of the magical and ordinary things that you saw happening there. You have a chart at the bottom of your assignment, and that is where you can, the chart is at the bottom of your notes. That is where you will fill this out. You may need to watch this a few times. So this PowerPoint slide is linked also. You can just go to the last slide and do that. Once you are 100% done, make sure you take a picture of all of your notes and you submit them on Schoology to your assignment.